have in the company, the company decides, well, they're going to be the beneficiary in case of your death. But that's far and few in between. That doesn't happen a lot. So people don't expect their employer to pay for their life insurance. But when it comes to health insurance, well, that's a different story. Now people don't want to pay for it. Oh, yeah, I'll pay for my homeowner's insurance. I'll pay for my car insurance. I'll pay for my umbrella insurance. I'll pay for my, any of my life insurance. I'll pay for any other kind of insurance out there, but I'm not going to pay for my health insurance. My employer should pay for my health insurance. Why and how did we get to that point? Makes no sense to me. How are you going to get the type of, the type of treatment that you want? You're not, because you're not the owner of the policy. The employer is. So if you find a way, if you're the employer and you're the one that's, on a daily basis interacting with the insurance company, they'll probably treat you a little bit better. But if you're just an employee and a cog in a very large wheel, the insurance company is going to say, so what? And that's how it's going to be with the government in a single payer system, because there isn't going to be a big squeaky wheel unless you're a government official. Just not going to be there. So basically, Assemblyman Richard Gottfried, a Manhattan Democrat, estimated universal care would save New Yorkers more than $45 billion annually, cutting the statewide total cost for health care to about $255 billion in 2019, which is a bunch of crock. It's never going to save that much. It's not going to save a dime. It's going to cost even more. And how do I know? Because it always has. Because they make some very large false assumptions. One, that, people aren't going to use the system any more than they are now. Two, they're going to have all the money that they need coming in because they're basing it on the current tax system and tax level, knowing, they know it, but they don't believe it or won't admit it, that the tax volume is going to go down because businesses are going to fire people. There'll be fewer employees working in the state of New York. So thus fewer tax dollars for, the healthcare thing. And if people do not have to pay any deductibles or any premiums, what is now going to stop them from going to the ER or to the doctor with the sniffles every time it happens? Nothing. They're going to go. That cost is going to increase. So this whole notion that they're going to actually save all this money is bogus. And most people out here in the real world realize this because, we were told it was going to cost us, less than $1 billion for Obamacare, whatever the number was. But now it's twice that number. Well, we didn't factor in this and we forgot this. Well, of course you did. You forgot it on purpose. Plain and simple. I mean, you did. You did it on purpose. It's not something that just happened. So basically, what they're telling you is that this is I guess what they're going to try to do is they are going to try to implement this type of thing on a state by state basis. Whether or not you want it, whether or not you and I want it, is irrelevant. Because, they're out there trying to say that they're going to save all this kind of money, even though, again, we thought Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, that's what it's actually called, was going to save all this kind of money. And it didn't save in fact, it's costing us money. It is actually costing a majority of people who've enrolled more money than before. A lot of people don't get to keep their doctors. They saw their premiums increase and or they saw their deductible increase. and or they saw their copay increase. Some people didn't have or they had a very little copay before, and all of a sudden now they're faced with a $20 to $50 copay. Well, I didn't have that before. You probably said, yeah, I know, but now you do. Well, that's not fair. I thought this is supposed to be free. Look, I have told people I don't know how many times we can't afford free. It's too expensive. And I know some people just don't get that. Well, how can free be expensive? Free is free. Well, no, somebody's got to pay for it somewhere. It just doesn't materialize out of the goodness of every single person's heart and then, just go back into the goodness of everybody's heart. No, somebody has to pay for something. Nothing is ever free. Totally. Never has been, never will be. Speaking of free, Hope poster artist Shepard Fairey, it says Obama let him down. I kid you not. This is a political story. The Hope, you remember the famous Obama Hope poster that kind of like in the harkens back to the Chavez poster, whatever. Shepard Fairey is his name. Shepard is his first name, as in Shepard Smith. But his last name is Fairey, Fairey. Now, he doesn't look like a fairy. I don't know what he doesn't. He doesn't look like he's in a suit and tie in this picture, so he doesn't really look like an artist, but he doesn't look like a fairy. But Shepard Fairey, the street artist behind the famous Obama Hope poster that went viral during Barack Obama's historic 2008 presidential run, said that the president has not lived up to his expectations. Now, I don't know what his expectations were, but he's lived up to my expectations, and those expectations were not good, actually. So it is unfortunate that the president has lived up to my expectations. But I guess the street artist called Shepard Fairey isn't too happy. Now, in an interview with Esquire, Fairey acknowledged that Obama has had a really tough time. How's he had a really tough time? I mean, especially in the first 2 years, he had a Democratic Congress and Senate that could have given him anything he wanted. But said he's not even close to having lived up to the Hope of poster created for him. He says, I mean, drones and domestic spying are the things I would have thought he'd support. Or the last things that he thought Obama would support. Really? I could have told you he was going to support that from the start. He tempered his response, saying that that he's met the president a few times and that he thinks he is a quality human being, adding that his presidential record has been largely dictated by things out of his control. Oh, like ISIS? Well, he's kind of in control of that, or was. He's a little bit responsible for that, for the potential fall of Iraq. Again, that's up to him. He's a little bit responsible for that, for wanting, Obamacare. Yeah, he's a little. Well, I get. Fairey probably wanted Obamacare, so for that, he's holding up his end of the bargain, I guess. Now, Fairey goes on to say, I'm not giving him a pass for not being more courageous. The guy's a coward. I don't know how you can be more courageous by, he can be, I suppose he can be more courageous since he is a big coward. He won't stand up to anybody, anywhere, at any time, except, the American people. He'll stand up to us, but he won't stand up to other world leaders and terrorists and whatnot. But he'll stand up to the American people. And I said, hey, I'm president, and what we say goes. But he says, I do think the entire system needs an overhaul, and taking money out of politics would be a really good first step. Now, I don't know where these people get this notion that they can take the money out of politics. That's all it is. It's all about money. At some point, I mean, it takes money to run a campaign. Plain and simple. Well, if everybody was able just to... No, it still takes money, and somebody's going to be able to raise more. Even if you can only raise $1 at a time, somebody's going to be able to raise more than somebody else. That's just the way it is, because there's going to be people that support a certain person. They're going to have more supporters than somebody else. That's just the way the system is and the way the system works. It's not very complicated. Not at all. But I know they try to make it sound complicated, but it's not complicated. And taking money out of the politics is not plausible or possible. Unless, of course, you're in control of the whole thing, and you're running around, you have a giant dome, I guess, and you put all the candidates in this dome, and you lock the world out and say, okay, have at it, candidates. Just have at it. Unless you say, well, there's no need for advertising. There's still going to be money because, you're going to have to, government. I know government can... often says, do you want a certain amount of your tax? I think it's $1 or $2 of your tax refund or what have you to go towards the, I think it's the presidential fund. It used to be a checkbox on your IRS form. So evidently, even the government knows that there's, it takes money to run a campaign. So this whole notion that you're going to take money out of it is because the Democrats use it just as much as the Republicans do, if not more so. Look, Obama raised more money than Mitt Romney did last time around, and he spent more money. So why is it all of a sudden now when there's a potential for a Republican to score some big money, like a Cruz or a Bush or a Rubio, it's, no, we got to get money. We got to get money out of it now. Got to get money out of it. Mr. Ferry, you should have thought of that when you made the Hope poster, because your Obama friend, he upped the ante in raising money and spending it on a presidential campaign. Do you understand, Mr. Ferry, that this was the first time that a candidate spent over $1 billion in order to get elected? So now we're supposed to think that we're supposed to take money out of it? Why? He's the one that put money in it. And I know what they're all saying. They're all referring to the Citizens United, because corporations are not people. Well, yeah, actually, in a legal sense, they are. Because just like a person, a corporation can be sued. You just can't send the corporation to jail, but you can send, the people who run the corporation to jail. Sure. But that's the only difference. Because there isn't an actual human body of a corporation to send to jail, but they can be fined heavily, so it's just like going to jail. The whole point is that they also have a right to have a voice. But if you want to take them out of the equations, why don't you start with some of your liberal friends first? George Soros is not innocent of accepting or giving money. He gives a lot. But, I guess that's okay. It's the Koch brothers that we really are focusing on. And that's who the liberals always focus on. Even though Soros has given more money than the Kochs, it's always, something to do with the Koch brothers. They're the ones who give too much, and that they need to be stopped, and that, Citizens United needs to be reversed. Why? Especially when you Democrats are probably reaping the benefits more than anybody else are. But I guess we need to stop all the fundraising and actually just talk to people and tell them the truth. Really? Nah. I don't think Democrats can handle... You can't handle the truth.